Well, another big box arrived from Stirlingkit the other day. Very kindly sent me these two rather wonderful things. The red box contains a Retrol SE-03 model steam engine generator kit. Now, from what I can tell, the engine is very similar to the SE-02. However, this time it is attached to a vertical boiler and it has a working governor. It has a working flyball governor, so I'm very keen to see that, get this built up and get it going. And they asked me to do the review coupled with the GF-01, which is a new product again, and it is basically a little accessory. So it's a line shaft driving a drill press and a grinding wheel, and it's also got the same kind of light street lamp on it that the two steam engine kits had. So I was quite surprised by this, because I'd actually asked if I could review the GF-01, because thanks to Myford Boy, I didn't know of this thing's existence until he told me about it. So I actually asked them for that, and they said, yes, no problem at all, that's fine, but we'd like you to review it with the SE-03. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, fine, I'm not going to say no to that. So here we have those two products. So let's have a look and see what you get inside the box. So there you go, there are the 3 layers of precision high density foam cut inserts that hold all the parts for the SE-03, and we'll close in on those and have a better look. So that's the bottom layer. This is in fact 2 layers, because this pulls out to reveal the base. And it also looks like it comes with the tools that you need to put it together, which is again very useful. One of the beauties of these Retrol model engine kits that I can see, and as I said in the other one, is that you don't need a workshop to put these together. You just need a table basically, and it comes with all the tools that you need, which is fantastic. This is the middle layer, which has this truly gorgeous vertical boiler. Look, I mean, these are brass castings, the top and the base, little door on it. It's really, this is just so nicely made. I love the fact that they bothered with the rivet detail, and this boiler has even got an inspection cap, which I've never seen one of those on a commercial model steam engine boiler before. That's fantastic. If you want to see what these are actually used for on full-size boilers, I'll put a link to Dave Richards' steam powered machine shop, because he's got a vertical boiler, full-size one, that runs the steam engine that powers his machine shop, and it's got these exact inspection plates on it. So if you're interested in how they work and what they're for, I'll put a link to his video. But yeah, this one's got the engine, various bits and pieces. There's a regulator and displacement lubricator. There's the actual real flyball governor, which actually works, so I'm well keen to see that in operation. Same generator, I think, as was on the SE-02. Then on the top sheet you've got the main plate for the engine, and a very nice mill engine style flywheel with all the grooves in it. I really like that. That's really nice. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to putting this together. So let's have a look at what's in the GF-01 box. There's the GF-01. There's only 2 leaves in that, obviously a lot less parts. Again, this bottom leaf here, you take that out. Let's see if I can get it out. That is. There we go. And there's the base in there. Again, it would appear that you get all the tools that you need to put it together. There's a little tiny screwdriver in there, and we've got hex, I think, what was that? That's a, yes, that's an Allen key driver. So yeah, so got everything that you need. Very nice CNC machine parts. This is the drill press. Now sadly, as I think you can quite clearly see, one of the handles on the quill lever has broken off. I'm assuming that happened in transit. It is in there. This is the broken part there. So what I'm hoping is that I can extract the threaded bit that is in the quill handle hub and rethread this and put it back in. It'll be a bit shorter than the other two, but it should be all right. And there's the gorgeous little grinding wheel. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, this was the thing I was really interested in, because I think this is really the first main accessory that separate main accessory that they built And apparently it is supposed to be paired with the SE-03, but I don't see why you couldn't put it on any of the other engines, and I will certainly be having a go at driving this from the SE-02 and of course the beautiful bull top hit and miss engine. So yeah, let's get on and start putting them together. Now before we start, we're going to do the SE-03 first. I want to have a quick word about instructions. When I undid this and unpacked it, there was just this single sheet of instructions inside the box. Let's have a look at that. So what you've got on this sheet is the image of the engine and the inlays, the bill of materials, the parts list, and on the other side you've got the key to what the parts are, what they, you know, what they're called. They give them a number, each part is a number, and then they get a description, and then you get the larger items as well. But that's all I got. No assembly instructions at all, which was a little bit strange, shall we say. So I got in touch with Stirlingkit, sent them an email and said, explained that, you know, I didn't have any instructions, assembly instructions for this, and while I could probably put it together without instructions, they want me to do a review of it, then, and as it's for, you know, 16-year-olds and up, you can't expect them to put it together without instructions. But they weren't very helpful. They said they didn't have copies of the instructions available. You think, so, well, that seems a little bit unusual. Yeah. Anyway, what did I do? Well, one of the channels I subscribe to on YouTube is the Blue Heelers Model and Steam Engine Room. And that channel is run by Jim. Now, I happened to notice that he had recently put up a video where he did an unboxing of the Retrol SE-03. So I got in touch with him and I said, hi Jim, I've got one of these sent to me by Stirlingkit, got no instructions in it. Is it possible that you could take some photos of your instructions and send them to me? And the following day, an email arrived in my inbox with half a dozen or so, I think there was a couple more, I think there was 8 actually, photos attached of the instruction sheets. Just like that. Jim, you are a gentleman and a scholar, mate. I very, very much appreciate this. So I've printed the photos out that Jim sent me, and now I actually know what I'm doing and what screws go where, so we can actually get on and do this. Now, I will say that eventually Stirlingkit did send me an email with a PNG file attached, but the images were so small that by the time you enlarged them so you could see them, they were so blurry they were useless. Jim saved my bacon on this one, and I'm going to put a link in the description to his channel and also to the videos that he's done, because he will have done more than one by now, on the Retrol SE-03. Right, let's get on with it. Now, before I start, I'm not going to go into as much detail on the build with the SE-03 as I did with the SE-02. If I do that, and incorporating the GF-01 as well, the video is going to go on for bloody hours, and you know me, I've only got the attention span of a goldfish. I hate really long videos. I fall asleep through them no matter how good they are. So we're going to try and keep the time down on this one. So I'll do each stage and then I'll show you the stage assembled, then I'll do the next one and show you that assembled and so forth, and then so that way we can get through it in a reasonable amount of time. So first stage is the cylinder and valve block, screw it to the main engine base plate. Next up, the flyball governor, which as you can see really works. Amazing. Okay, moving on. Next stage was the control valve. Now what I suggest you do with this is get your tweezers and wedge them underneath this collar, right? And then screw the control valve onto the collar rather than trying to screw the collar onto the control valve, because between the two of them is one of these little tiny weeny silicone gaskets. So yeah, that's the easiest way to do that. Okay, so stage 4 was the sliders. Now I used a little bit of light machine oil when I assembled those. They're not the sliding blocks are not a tight fit in the sliding slots, but it's easier to oil it before you put it together than it is afterwards. So a little bit of light machine oil on there. And now we move on to stage 5. Stage 5 was fixing the crankshaft bearing blocks. Now they do butt up against these little tiny raised parts of the casting, but there is a little bit of slop in the movement on these, so I just used a very small square and squared them up against this end of the frame. So basically they should all be in line because they're all squared up with the same end. So that's what I did. Don't think you have to do it, but what the hell, you know, might as well. So stage 6 is mounting the engine frame onto the base plate. Dead easy. The screws screw into the base. The base is threaded. So I just put one in, this one, with a pillar, and then went around and put all the others in. Very easy, not difficult at all. Now, steps 7 and 8 are fitting the flywheel to the crankshaft. And the flywheel's got an unusual method of clamping itself to the crankshaft. Now, I've never seen this before. Basically, this brass insert that goes into the center of the flywheel, this is effectively a collet. This is effectively a collet. And when you tighten those screws up, it squeezes the collet around the shaft. And to me, that's an absolutely brilliant method of putting these two things together. So let's get that done. That was 7 and 8. A little bit fiddly. You have to hold the crankshaft in place and the hub, collet hub, in the flywheel at the same time while you're tightening the screws up. But it's not too difficult. Next step 9 is to fit the eccentric strap. There's a little grub screw to go in there and a couple of the bearings. Right, so that's step 9. And just like on the SE-02, there are flats milled into the crankshaft, and that's where the grub screw in the eccentric, and I assume in the pulleys on the other side, bears up against. So that obviously sets the timing. So it's very important that you do the grub screw up down onto the flat on the crankshaft. Okay, so that was 9. Step 10 is we got a bearing and a pulley to put on the other side. This is actually steps 10 and 11. Now, I've tightened up the grub screw on the eccentric, and I've tightened up the grub screw on this outer pulley. I have not tightened up the grub screw on this inner pulley yet, because I want to see where it all goes when I actually get it assembled into the bearing blocks, which is, I believe, step 12. So that's all in place, and it runs superbly. Now I've used a little bit of light machine oil on all the bearings, and obviously on the eccentric strap as well. But can you see my cock up? It's not major, very easy to rectify. I've got this in the wrong way around. That needs to be rotated to 180 degrees. So I need to take the sliders off and then just rotate that around, because that face there should be going on the crankshaft. So we'll do that, and then we will move on to, I think, step 13. Step 13 was to connect the rubber drive band, which drives the flywheel governor, and also to put the grub screw in the main crank for the piston. Now, I don't quite know whether you can see this, but I'll close in on it, because I'm always one to own up to my cock-ups. The grub screw in the eccentric strap and in the pulleys is black. The grub screw that is in the crank is stainless steel. Yeah, I dropped it, the one that came with the kit, and I couldn't find it. Fortunately, I've got a tub full of small metric grub screws, so that wasn't a problem. But be very careful when putting those in, because they are very easy to lose. Now, my other cock-up. I had forgotten to connect this end of the dummy governor. Not dummy. I had forgotten to connect this end of the governor crank assembly here to the regulator. And what I'd also hadn't noticed is that this whole assembly here, these two arms that go into the flywheel governor and operate that lever like that, they had come out of this, and the whole mechanism was round the wrong way, and I hadn't noticed that. So I had to take the whole lot off, lift the governor off, and then flip that around so that those bits engaged back with that slotted pulley that's on the bottom of the flywheel governor. So yeah, that was fun. But no mind, nothing too difficult, but just shows you've really got to pay close attention to what you're doing. Well, step 14 is to fit the bearing caps for the crankshaft bearings, which is dead straightforward, and that's pretty much the engine done. I think the next steps, yes, 15 and 16 are fitting the lamp base and the generator. So that's step 15 done. Generator, lamp base, and the wires go through this hole here for the generator. Now I'm going to deviate slightly, because step 16 is to fit the lamp and the knife switch. Now The lamp is the most delicate part of this, and I'll do the same thing that I did on the SE-02. I'm going to fit the lamp last of all, because this is the bit that will break, if anything will break. So I'll fit the knife switch, and then we'll move on to step 17. Okay, so I can't do the wiring because obviously I haven't fitted the lamp yet, but we'll do that at the end, I think, after I've done the next step. So let's get on with it. Okay, right, well, step 18 is fitting the boiler, which is fairly straightforward, as you can see. Step 19 is fitting the chimney. Now, I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to fit the other fittings on the boiler before I fit the chimney, because I think that's going to be basically a lot simpler. The chimney's only held on with 3 screws, so it's very easy to do after we do the next step, which is fitting the main set of boiler fittings. So step 20 is to fit the sight glass, which as you can see I've done. 21, 22 and 23 are to fit the pressure gauge, the whistle and the regulator, which I'll do that, but I'll do that off camera and bring you back when I'm done. Okay, so step 24 would be the last stage, which is to fit the main steam pipe from the regulator to the steam regulator that's actually on the valve chest. I've also got to fit the chimney and still do the wiring and fit the lamp, but I'll do that off camera and then I'll bring you back when I'm done. Now, once it was all finished, this was quite interesting. I was left with this threaded hole in the top of the boiler, and it wasn't mentioned in the instructions anywhere, and there was one part left in the box, which was obviously this safety pressure release valve. Now, it is mentioned in the bill of materials, but it's not mentioned in the instructions anywhere. Now, that may simply be that Jim might have missed that particular diagram off of the photos that he sent me, but it may simply be that it is missed in the instructions. However, it's blatantly obvious that that's where that goes, and obviously that doubles as the filler plug. So just in case you're wondering where that one came from, that's why it was kind of like missed out on the steps. But there you go. They do kindly provide you with some spare parts. Now, you've got a little bag here with a spare sight glass tube in, which is very useful because they are very easy to break, and you know, this sort of thing does happen. You've got another bag with some screws in, spare screws, and a spare O-ring, and of course, which I didn't realise until afterwards, a spare grub screw, which would have been very useful had I realised it at the time. They provide you with this rather strange little spatula looking thing, which I think is a snuffer to put the burner out. Well, here it is in all its glory. It's finished, it's all done, and it looks absolutely stunning. I think it's an absolutely brilliant bit of kit. Couple of little niggles, nothing major. Obviously lack of instructions on the one I had, but certainly the one Jim had has instructions with it, so obviously mine was probably just an oversight. And one other little thing was a bit annoying. Every single one of the threaded fittings into the boiler was in fact loose. I had to tighten them up before I attached the fittings that go on those places. But no, very pleased with it overall. So all we've got to do now is get the GF-01 assembled, and then we can get these two connected up together and run.